This was 3 years ago, bro. This was fresh, dude. Anyway, let's do this she lied video first, and then we'll... Not this. And then we'll get to that.
Adopted. It is just such a yucky term, but there's a way of making it even worse if you put the word mom in front of it. Mom influencer, upon just hearing that, induces nausea. It's like a real brown note. For those that don't know, the brown note is a legendary myth in music. It's basically a forbidden jutsu, but for sound. Fundamentally, it boils down to a frequency that, when exposed to a person, causes them to void their bowels, causes fecal incontinence. So you shit your pants when you hear the brown note and you have no control over it. The term mom influencer does something similar, but instead of just pooping your britches, you get sick. I think there's nothing wrong with mothers making internet content on, parenthood or educational content on what it's like to be a mom. That's all great. That's wholesome. But then there's a step too far into lunacy where you cross into the dark side of the force here. And that's mom influencers that use their children like props for them in their videos for their own online fame and clout. I feel like those kind of parents don't care about their children at all. They're just living vicariously through them in order to fulfill something in their life that they were unable to do on their own. So now they use their children for that online, brownie point shit and attention. And that's what we're talking about today, with one mom influencer in particular. Her name's Katie, and a couple of years ago she made a viral video about how her children were nearly kidnapped outside of a Michael's. And boy howdy, would you believe it, it turns out it was a load of baloney. She made it all up for internet clout. But this also came at the expense of two actual people here that she accused of being the ones to try and kidnap her kids, and she did report it to the police. So not only did she fabricate the story, she nearly had two innocent people fucked for life for this. So it is downright evil and degenerate. And now, it's a few years later, she has been convicted for lying about this. Her sentencing is upcoming, but it's very nice to see justice finally being served. It's a little upsetting it's taken so long, but you know what? We're here. Now let's get you caught up on the story because it's a wild one.
This morning, a popular social media influencer who falsely accused a couple of trying to kidnap her children, now convicted of lying about the whole ordeal.
Monday of this week, my children were the targets of attempted kidnap.
This is the face of a fib. She's not being truthful. She now owes a quarter into the lie jar. And that jar's gonna be filled to the brim after this case, because she's a fucking liar. So, Katie went on Instagram, made this story accusing two random people at a Michael's store she was at of trying to kidnap her kids outside of Michael's.
And I want to share that story with you in an effort to raise awareness as to what signs to look for.
The whole idea behind all of this is so silly. Hey guys, my kids were almost kidnapped. Now let me tell you what I learned about this experience. Make sure to slap that like button for more kidnapping avoidance tutorials, and stay tuned next week where I throw my kids into a coal mine and we...
This is... Cloud is a virus. Please help us find a cure. Sorry, dude, are you kidding me? If I had a fucking cure for that, oh my lord. I mean... People do the most unimaginably unhinged shit online, dude.
We see what happens to their lungs so I can give you educational content on how to avoid children in coal mines. Like, what do you mean signs to look out for in the case here of the kidnapping outside of Michael's? What? Giant trench coat? If there's a couple with a huge trench coat and they're stuffing kids inside of there, big red flag. And watch out for the stork coming through and grabbing your kids with their big fucking talons. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Now, of course, there could be real advice you could give to somebody on, like, signs to look out for creepy people that might be up to no good. Like, hey, maybe if these people are stalking you throughout Michael's and following you to your car, then maybe you should alert people around you, that kind of thing. Or just making people aware, like, there's nothing wrong with involving outsiders if you feel like you're in a situation that could be potentially dangerous. That's all fine advice. But it's not the advice she's aiming to give here. She even says that, parents are too preoccupied with making sure their kids are masked up that they no longer look at them, so it just leaves an opportunity for a stranger to come in and fucking steal the stroller out from under their nose or something, like at least alludes to that. Keep in mind, this was a few years ago during the height of the pandemic, so masks were a huge talking point. So she makes, like, the point...
Where's Kaya? The shit's boring? That's funny you say that, because there she is. Oh my god. Girl.
points she's making about like signs to look out for are basically just like open your eyes. She's basically just telling people to be a parent. It's ridiculous. It's the story she tells here offers no good insight on things to be aware of unless you're an absolute fucking oblivious idiot to everything around you. Like, these are all things people would absolutely notice and be uncomfortable with the same way she is in the video. Of course, it's all made up at the end of the day, but still, like, the whole purpose behind it and the message she tried to get across makes no sense. It's so laughable. Found the full video. It's like 15 minutes long, and it is one of the most descriptive things I've ever listened to for a completely make-believe story. She talks about this story like she's in a creative writing course and giving a presentation in front of the class for a piece of fiction that she wrote. It's outrageous the amount of detail she goes into, like when she's getting to the climax of everything where the stroller was almost snatched and her children abducted. She's talking about like they took 2 steps forward, but then 3 steps back. They did the hokey pokey and they turned themselves around. You know, I saw the fear wash over me. I could feel it. My pupils were dilating as this absolute menace, this villain, was approaching me with ill intent and malicious aura surrounding them, like a bat out of hell. It's outrageous. It is all completely fucking fanfic make-believe.
Falsely claiming that strangers tried to kidnap her 2 young children on December 7th, 2020, outside the Petaluma, California Michaels store. The Sonoma County DA's office says the videos were posted about a week after Sorensen reported the supposed kidnapping attempt to police.
So what's wild is she didn't just make this story up for the sake of Instagram views and likes. She did report this incident to the police, who pretty quickly were able to dismiss it as a bunch of fucking hoo-ha. They immediately really realized that the events she was describing on Instagram were completely different than the events that she had described to the authorities. It was wildly different. And after talking to the couple in the clip you saw there, that photo of the couple, after talking with them, they realized that there's no evidence at all. There's no witnesses. There's nothing to corroborate anything that Katie was ever saying. Which is weird because in Katie's story on Instagram, she even talks about like some fucking vigilante, a hero that was there to come and help her out and save the day, really. So it's weird that there wouldn't be any witnesses to confirm any of this happened. So all of it is just so scummy and baffling that she would do something like this for the sake of internet clout. Because she didn't just go home and make this video. She did report this to the police. Why? Why go that step forward? I guess in case people would call her out on it, she'd be able to pull up a police report or something, but she should have known that they would have gotten to the bottom of this and realized that it was all a lie. And reporting a false crime is a crime. You can't do that. You can't just knowingly make some shit up and then report it to authorities and then potentially ruin the lives of the people that you are falsely accusing. That's just downright evil.
In the video, Sorensen described a number of details about the alleged incident that hadn't been disclosed to police. The accused couple, Sadie and Eddie Martinez, say they actually recognized themselves in this photo and came forward to deny Sorensen's claims.
She wanted a stronger following. She was looking for, content for her fame and her income. And at our expense.
I think they're absolutely correct. I think the main motivator behind all of this was just that internet attention. A little fucking clout goblin was born on this day, and it did work for however brief a time. Katie did receive a lot of love, got a lot of new followers on Instagram, had a huge outpouring of just well wishes from the community for such a traumatic experience and her bravery for sharing it and all of that. And she did build a big following from all of this at their expense, but her house of cards has now come crumbling down clearly, and there were already signs that this was very fishy even a few years ago where authorities were like, this is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, this isn't real, there's something goofy afoot here. So this has been a long time in the oven here cooking, and now we've reached the point where she doesn't have that following anymore. She lost some of her most avid supporters, clearly, because you can't really support someone that does something like this. So now the only thing she has is potentially 6 months in the slammer for this.
Sorensen's attorney maintains his client did not lie to police.
She misperceived and misunderstood a series of random events, which were...
Lawyers are awesome, dude. It's just like, I mean, they are the OGs of like, neutral tone, passive voice, and speaking in passive voice. Yeah.
Were occurring around her, and made a honest report to the police on December 7th.
That man looks fearful for his life right there. I don't know what's going on, if he's some kind of like prototype android that's having a hard time expressing emotion, or if Katie's threatening him with some kind of wild accusations and he's feeling the pressure. That man was robotic. But basically the defense is, Katie was too fucking stupid to understand what was happening, so she ended up just making a report that is completely not grounded in reality at all. And we're very sorry that she's so dumb. So they're just playing the she's an absolute idiot card, which I guess is becoming a very popular defense. There's a difference between being stupid and being dangerously stupid. If you're the kind of person that's so fucking dumb that you start making false reports and accusing innocent people of heinous crimes, that's still not excusable. You can't just write it off as, they're just a quirky weirdo that's dumb. You can't do that. They still need to face punishment for that. So even if the guy here is correct in that she just misperceived everything, she still needs to be punished for falsely accusing this couple of things that just didn't happen.
Her attorney adding that it was when Sorensen reviewed the evidence that she realized she was wrong.
I don't think she had.
Why women have incredible OP racial buff. It's like, this is why it's like one of the more powerful classes that you can sign on to in the beginning of the video game. It's just like, especially when it comes to cops and the criminal justice system, like they're really, really impossible to fucking take down in any way. Dev should nerf that with a patch. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's obviously the misogyny nerf, but ultimately we're talking about different boundaries here. You know what I mean? Like there's the patriarchy nerf, but a lot of them get the +5 defense, the white supremacy defense. So like, not a lot of them, like all of them get the +5 white supremacy defense. So it just like ultimately turns back around.
Had any understanding of how this would spread and the impact it would cause.
But some legal experts say this verdict is about accountability.
This is a woman who lied for clicks at the expense of a couple in California who wrongly accused them of a very serious crime.
I agree. Katie does need to be held accountable for what she's done here. I personally think this wasn't just some like, oops-a-daisy, I'm so dumb moment. I misunderstood everything that happened and made up an entire story around it. Silly me. I really think this was a calculated content play where she knew a video like this would garner a lot of support. Because obviously, who doesn't want to rally behind a mother who went through a traumatic experience but came out okay and is using that as an opportunity to try and educate people in her community to be better prepared for scary things like that in the future. She probably knew that this video would go Insano style on views and engagement, so she went for it. And man, what a terrible idea it was. I don't buy the whole narrative that she's just a bumbling fucking idiot who just misunderstood everything. I think that's a load of hogwash. So
it's crazy that she didn't even cry
because it's a weird one. That's about it. So yeah,
she didn't even cry, which would have like made this impossible. You know what I mean? Stop biting in minutes. McCann dog training. Stop puppy biting fast. You can tell my YouTube recommended videos are changing dramatically.